Howdy all, Big Country here, Big Country Survival. So, here's a VR for the Midwest Prepper. And his thing, and here's the basic premise of the video. SHTF happens, everyone's running for the hills, they're going to run to the woods. Okay, a lot of people are going to wind up dead because they don't know how to be in the woods. Um, but that's neither here nor there. What if you had like 25, 30 guys and ran towards the city and like held up in like a big brick building or something, big factory, something along those lines? And I'm going to talk about that. And I will say this. He didn't say it was a good idea. He didn't say it was a great idea, only that it was an idea. And well, here's some of my thoughts on that. Truth in advertising, I'd rather be here. Let's see. Yep. I'd rather be there. But I'm going to give what I've got. And y'all take it for what it's worth. So I don't think it's a good idea for multiple reasons. One, you obviously, there's people. There's a limited amount of resources. Everything that's a resource just about is non-renewable. There's only a finite amount of resources in an urban area. Because, hey, you blacktopped everything down. There's not really good farmland. All the wild edibles you've been trying to kill with poisons and poisons and poisons. And the only animals that are there are living off of human waste, really. Raccoons, rats, mice, pigeons. Okay. And so there's a very, very limited amount of resources unless you have the numbers to acquire them and you have the lack of morality to acquire them. There's a finite amount of resources. The fact of the matter is, especially if there's like 25, 30 of you, unless you have your own resources stocked away, chances are, now I mean unless we're talking like a pandemic and everyone just died, okay? But then that's another bad situation, and another reason to not be in a population center. But the fact of the matter is that you're probably going to have to take resources from somebody else to have them for yourself. And I don't ever recommend that as a good option. Because, I mean, you're gonna get yourself shot. I mean, for one thing, you're gonna get yourself shot eventually. You try and live your life like that, and you're gonna die. I don't care how good you are. You're gonna mess with the wrong dog. Or maybe they're not even that good, and you just luck of the draw, and you take a bullet to the head. It ain't gonna work out in the long run. But so you've got that, okay? No, I don't recommend that. Now the resources that are not specifically owned by a person, like such as those that would be in, say, one of the big box stores. Okay, that's fine. I mean, depending, I mean, SHTF rules, depending on the situation, that might be okay to get at, like, legally. But it's still going to put you in a dangerous spot with other people. Because let's face it, dirt boys like dirt, and blacktop boys like blacktop. People aren't going to be as quick to leave the city as you think. I really don't believe that they will. I think most people are going to wait around. Um, they're going to wait around for the government to come in. And, mosquito. I'll be glad when they all go away. Daggone, where was I? Okay. Yeah, people aren't going to be as willing to leave as you want to believe that they will. So you've got that. Also, why this is a bad idea. Because you have this idea. Guess who else has these ideas? What is the government going to come in and take control over? Important kind of buildings, right? Big brick buildings. The same ones that you're thinking about. Government's going to, if they do come in, they're going to want to take those over. And this isn't necessarily a anti-government thing, but in those kinds of events, the government's going to come in, and they're going to come in martial law. And do you really want to have to deal with that? No, I don't. Also, you run the risk of a tyrannical government coming in, a false government. The Chinese, I don't know. The Chi-Coms, Communist Chinese, something like that. Um, it ain't good. All right, that's what they're gonna come for in these cities first. Power plants, big factories, factory buildings, big warehouses. They're gonna try and come in and take these warehouses because of the infrastructure. They're gonna have places. They want places to store their stuff that they're bringing in. Right, so they're gonna run you out or shoot you. Um, or imprison you, or all these other things, right? Also, what else is in cities? Gangs, gang activity. I really do think like gangs are going to be after these buildings, and they're going to be using it to acquire their stuff. They're going to take their wealth. They'll eventually spread out the gang's sphere of influences, and these can be vigilante groups as well. But do you really want to run that risk? I'd rather have 25 or 30 guys of my choosing out here on this property, um, or on a property, right? All helping me grow crops, all helping me forage for food, all helping me go out and like trade at a trading post of some sort, or whatever. You know, Flea markets are going to pop up, but that's another talk for another day. I'd much rather have these guys uh, out here, than hold up in a big brick building. And I know this is the exercise. It's just the point of, what if you could? Would you make it? Yeah, it ain't worth it. Um, Even if I didn't have the money to prep, um, I would live in a worn out, like $1,000 mobile home trailer on like a corner of a quarter-acre lot, um, or something along those lines, out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's a half acre for sale out here with a house and a there's a half acre for sale with a house and a garage just down the road a ways. Like 35,000 is what their asking price is. Um, I don't know if there's water on it or not, as far as a well or a spring. I don't know if they have a well dug, but they're right next to a creek. So I'd imagine there would have to be the ability to dig a well anyway. But, I mean, half acre. I'd rather have that half acre out here than try and hole up in a big brick building out there. I'd rather be that broke guy, because out here with my neighbors, I can become a valued member of the community. I can go work for one of these. If I, am in this situation, I can meet my neighbors. I can go talk to them. Um, I can go and holler at, farmer, Mr. Johnson or whatever, and I can go out and say, listen, do you have a need for a farm hand? Someone, one of my neighbors would go out there. Hey, I'll work for food. You know, I would rather do something like that than try and get 25, 30 people held up in a big brick building. I'm not saying that's the perfect idea either, but I would rather do that, or I maybe rent off of one of these guys out here, one of these farmers, rent some land, and if it does go down, um, say, okay, I'll work for my room and board. I mean, that's the scenario, and I mean, especially with, we're gonna need farm hands out here. There's gonna have to be farm hands out here, um, and there's gonna be people just like in the Depression, going out traveling from farm to farm, working for room and board, and maybe a little bit of a monetary income, which we'll see what that ends up being. Uh, you know, but people are gonna work for room and board, um, because there's not going to be any more diesel fuel coming to run your tractor. So you're going to need, you know, the old, Mexican backhoe, so to speak. I apologize if that offends anybody. I not really, but it's not politically correct, I know. But, you know, it is what it is. But, these are just some thoughts that are rattling around my head. I'd rather be that guy living on a half acre and walk over to his neighbor and say, hey, I'll work for food in my belly, um, for me and my family. And, and hey, if I hear gunshots, I'll come over and I'll protect you, right? And vice versa, right? That's how that's supposed to work. You know, if I hear some gunshots going over at my neighbor's house, I'm grabbing the shotgun and I'm heading over there to check them out, and vice versa. Um, these are my thoughts. Y'all take them for what they're worth. Um, till next time, big country survival. I'm signing out. God bless.